In an effort to keep things well under an hour, please remember it's not something that wasn't discovered or willfully ignored. It was more than likely cut for time. As stated, and one of the most common things we see in these videos besides timestamps is, please keep these under 60 minutes. Now obviously catering to certain attention span demographics is not necessarily a good thing, but it's better for editing and also for rendering time to make sure we keep these things under 60 minutes. However, feel free to check the comments or ask questions in the comments like everyone else does in every other video if there's something else you'd like to discuss around these classes. First and foremost, let me start off by saying that this is an entirely new class to the Phantasy Star world, and currently it is not out at the time of this recording in the USA and global versions, which I think they're kind of the same thing. The primary weapon of this class is only one weapon, and that's a gun blade. If you're in Japan, gun slash. I'll be trying to use gun blade as much as possible. Now, normally this is the part where I give you the weapons pros and cons. Oh, sometimes you can do long range, sometimes you can do short range. Yes, that's inherent with the weapon. However, this time it works a little bit different. As this is a solo weapon class, we're probably going to talk about possibly the elements and features relating to the elements. Well, really primarily because there's no one set place that we normally can relegate it to. Remember how the class reviews work. Class explanation and brief history, class weapon pros and cons, class pros and cons, skill tree opinions, who should play this class, skill ring opinions, high synergy class mixes. That last one being optional. But see, the way this is structured, it uses dual elements that give you certain features. No, you can't mix the elements, by the way. They're in pairs automatically. You can't change them. So might as well get this out the way now. There is a fire dark mixture, there is a lightning wing mixture, and then there is ice light mixture. These element combinations make up how your class functions with certain things in relation to your weapon action and special features that specifically relate to the elemental combination. For the Fomel elemental combination, that's fire and dark in case anyone is wondering, it's basically geared to doing continuous damage and high amounts of damage. The special weapon action function that it uses is basically rapier stabs, ending with a penetrating attack, which severity and damage and length, yeah, there's a pun in there somewhere, is dictated by how many stocks you have in your gear gauge. The gear gauge has 3 slots, just so we know. And please don't get the gear slash limit, whatever you want to refer to it as, mixed up with the voltage meter. The gear gauge, in this case, has 3 different stocks, no numbers. The voltage gauge is all numbers, the maximum being either 9,999 or 999. Yes, we will talk about the voltage meter at a later point. Now, the other special function on this one is based on your timing when it comes to using your photon arts. You get a special laser fire ring? I'm not sure what you would call this thing, but basically you get a circular triangle that hovers around your body, creating automatic damage for anyone who comes near it and touches it. However, it can increase its spin speed based on how quickly you transition from one photon art to the next. Baran Style allows you to hold down a weapon action to charge up, for lack of a better term, a giant ice light blast. That being said, getting back into it, although this is not the fast class per se, the reaction speed needed to utilize your flaming ring attacks or flaming triangle lasers, which currently at least translate to photon clusters, but pretty sure the name will change in English, make this class actually very, very technical. Or really, I should say this elemental within the class very technical to utilize. However, yes, it is meant to do out or implies it's supposed to do the maximum amount of damage, potentially. Also, side note, if you can call it that, be advised, your normal attacks change with these elemental combinations, and this will start off our cons. Fomel's only true con is that, oh boy, is that normal attack slow. All right. The second con, if you can call it that as well, is the speed usage of the photon cluster or burning ring of fire. Your odds of using a hold photon art are practically erased. So now your combat, or rather your combo string, has some inherent hindrance and limits that normally aren't there. Here's the best example I can give you. Let's say you're using Smart Assist, but you want to hold it down because you want a hold art to come out or a move art to come out after you do the initial photon art. Well, guess what? The rotation of the photon cluster to make the flaming wheel attack does not kick in. A second photon art, even if it's a smart button, has to be pressed again. So instead of doing a combo where you hold down the photon art, then go into another one, you have to do the base photon art and then switch and quickly input the secondary one, which you can hold if you want to, but the ring won't go off twice. It'll only go off the one time. It does not respond to hold photon arts. Okay, moving on. The next section we're going to call the Barans. Baran is the pairing of ice and light element. Now this one is primarily meant to be defensive, although I really do like that big shot that it can do. Baran's ice and light pairing lends very well to defense, or at least that's how they bill it in the game. When you perform photon arts, doesn't matter if it's hold or move or stay, yada yada yada. Your photon art, if it makes a connection with an enemy's attack at a certain point, you can generate a 3-ring shield. No, there's not 3 points to it, but there's 3 rectangular cube-like objects that float around you. These do not disappear over time, one after the other. They all go at once. I feel like they could have used a better visual cue, but I digress. The way this class is meant to function is it's allowing you to continue your damage during any situation. So if there's a powerful impact coming in, Baran Style is meant to make sure you can still keep on attacking, or the damage taken is practically nothing or heavily reduced. Now, as far as the weapon action goes, well, I already talked about it. It's a giant Baran shot or ice light shot. Utilizing your gear gauge, which you can stack up to 3 as per usual, your character freezes in midair, holds up the gun blade in more of a gun/rifle format, and it builds up, creating a wing-like texture or image behind your character's shoulder blades, the highest level being 3. However, it is not a piercing situation. Once it makes an impact, it explodes out in a radial damage effect. I love it. As far as cons go when it comes to this elemental format, I really don't have any. In fact, it's actually the one I prefer the most. And this may be a pro that I left out, so I'm gonna just do it now since there's not really a con. Hitting with this weapon leaves a shockwave effect, or shockwave slash, from all of your normal attacks. Now, the distance and range varies, but let's be honest, we all know it's not gonna go as far as moves that are meant to shoot at long range. So if anything, I would think of this more as like a mid-range energy wave. You do your normal attack slashes, and you will see on screen a visual whitish blue tinted line that can hit multiple targets. However, I believe it does not pierce, so don't expect it to pierce. Now, although the meters relating to this class alter how they pull and build and grow based on which elemental pairing you're using, most of the time it's practically negligible due to various things on your skill tree. But that being said, please never forget that every single elemental pairing does have certain boosters based on how you're playing. Zandi style, aka the Speedy Gonzalez style, is meant to basically focus on high speed movement and also your natural reaction time. This thing loves speed so much it even gives you enhancements to your move arts based on your speed, of course. Also, should you find yourself in a situation where you have evaded a maneuver, yes, you get even more boost. Stack on stacks on stacks, and I love it. A chase attack, for those who aren't really sure, because chase has a little bit of an overlapping definition in this game. A chase attack is anytime you perform one maneuver and a secondary energy blast or thing happens that does damage to your enemy. When you dodge something in this game, when you're using Zandi style, you'll note that there will be, we'll say tealish colored wings lined up with your shoulder blade on your character. Now, every single time you perform a photon art that lands, a chase attack will come out, and if memory serves, the max duration is about 15 seconds, The weapon action on Zandi style is one of my personal favorites. It gives me a bit of a Storm from X-Men feel, for those who know who that is. Basically, it's a charge maneuver. However, instead of hitting someone directly in front of you or hitting a group of people in a line in front of you, this one hits everybody in an area of effect field, which you can see notated by a neon green-ish lime green ring that's around your character on the floor. So, whatever's in that immediate vicinity, it's gonna get got. Now, another thing I'd like to mention is classifying these as photon arts isn't necessarily accurate, especially since you are not utilizing the photon art button, and you cannot have them come out while you're utilizing the photon art button, whether it's move or stay. But these normal weapon action special features change with each individual elemental pairing. So let's start with Fomel. Fomel creates, for lack of a better term, chase needles or chase arrows, if you will, that are about 4 to 5 feet long, and they disappear when they come out. However, they're not gone. Now, anytime you press the photon art button up to 3 max, one of these needles will come out and it will strike whatever you're targeting. So yeah, you want to think of it like the world's scariest chase arrow. It does extra damage, but generally speaking, it's some of the slowest damage and almost not really worth it in my opinion. I would save the meter for other things like the weapon action, special attack. Now for Baran style, what happens is you get a white ring around the ground, similar in position to that of the one on Zandi. However, everything within that area is going to get hit with stun. However, stuns, effectiveness and efficacy changes based on what what monster you're fighting. And 2 small drones in a circle attack everything in there. Once you activate this, your job is to primarily go in there and deal more damage. You don't want the drones to really try to kill anything, because then the fight will take forever. In the case of Zandi, which people feel how they feel about it, I like it. Zandi creates a stun effect as well. However, it keeps them in like a suction tornado field. So if you caught an enemy with this and they get into it, it's going to bring them near the center where the emblem is, or crest of whatever this weapon action is going to be. Again, allowing you to get your damage off. I love that one. So yeah, there's not really a particular place to put normal special weapon functions, so figure we might as well mention them now. But let's get back into it. Now, as far as the class pros and cons go, I'm sorry to inform you, but this section is going to be very, very short, or some people may find that as a bonus and relief. All right, the class pros for this is your natural attack speed and your ability to evade. I know we haven't mentioned it yet, but it's very easy to get the secondary dash function on this class. So instead of pressing on, for me at least, it's R2 on my gamepad once, I can press it a second time and I can dodge and slide far away from the enemy, up in front of the enemy while I'm attacking them, or attack through them once you level it up in your skill tree and get certain other functions, which we may or may not cover later. Remember, the goal is to keep these things a little on the short side. It also has the biggest, and I do mean the most biggest / robust combo tree out of practically everything else in the game. Now, a lot of people may say, well, you can just mix classes to get something similar. No, you can't. It's not the same. This stuff is instant. Remember, you have a normal attack button, the photon attack button, then the photon art has a stationary version of itself and a movement version of itself. So basically, it's got 2 shift actions for the price of 1, unlike Phantom, which only has 1. Not that that's a bad thing. Then on top of that, remember, we have the jump-based photon art / special attack situation going on. And those have a move and hold version as well. Then there's also the fact that, just like Phantom, it has the timed normal attack button press or weapon action button press, depending on which of those 2 classes you're using. On top of that, and there's a move and stay version of that. So a traditional flow tree before we get to Phantom would be start with a photon or a normal attack, continue with a photon or a normal attack until you decide to stop. No. Not on Luster. Luster, you can go normal weapon action hold button or normal attack. You can start with photon art, then hold down the button for a move or stay art, or do a move or stay art version of the photon art to initiate and start off the fucking skill tree combo crap. It's insane. If you literally sat down and calculated the different branches and deviations you can go just from pressing, we'll say, the normal attack button, it's almost double, if not triple, what every other classes is, save for maybe Phantom. It's crazy. However, that pro, also a con, which we're about to get into. Hey, this class is extremely technical when it comes to dealing damage. Yes, there may be a meta in regards to what photon art, normal attack, jump art combo there is, but guess what? It's not about to show up tomorrow. Someone's going to really have to live in training mode, Sammy PSO style. Shout out to Sammy, by the way. And just sit there and go through a meticulous list, possibly spreadsheeted out, just to figure out what is the best way to start and how should these things end and whatnot. This technicality is almost reminiscent of specifically utilizing Dante in Devil May Cry. Because when you do a normal attack button with Dante, you can do a class change, special weapon action or attack function with that class change, or continue to do the combo. Then, when it looks like it's about to be over, utilize another style to get close to the enemy and continue the combo, and then just keep deviating and deviating and deviating. The level of freedom that you have with Dante is something that Luster is approaching. No, they are not equals. Far from it. But this is the closest Phantasy Star Online 2 has gotten to action on the realm of something like a Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, the modern era, and Devil May Cry. Believe me when I say that, that is not hyperbole. North America / global people, when you get Luster class, I want you guys to sit down in training mode and just see how many deviations you can find in how a combo is structured. You will be pleasantly surprised or excessively overwhelmed. So yes, one of its greatest strengths is also one of its biggest weaknesses. I'm going to tell you that right now. The combo tree is very, very, very robust. A little bit too robust. I don't mind it, but other people might. You know how that goes. Can't speak for everybody. Not even trying to. Now, the only other con I can think of, and this can be debatable. So the gun blade in every iteration can shift with the weapon action button between using the blade or the gun, right? Why can't I press the weapon action button and shift between fire darkness, lightning wind, ice light? Come on, it was right there. You don't have to change the element on the weapon, but just change how it functions. I can already sense at some point in time there's going to be some skill rings that come out that have to do with Luster class that do some type of alteration, or it locks in what play style you're using. Like if I'm using a weapon that's got an ice element, so the gun blade goes ice light, oh no, this ring overrides that, so now your style is locked in no matter what gun blade you use as Fomel or Zandi style. It's totally gonna happen at some point. I'm not predicting the future, but there will be skill rings outside of effort rings for Luster, and it'll probably have something to do with the elemental mixing. Now, the third con, and this is a guaranteed con, not an iffy con, is just the fact that the level of technicality and the level of effort and money that needs to go into this class to get certain things you may or may not want removed or added, higher than normal. When you get a new weapon for a new class, I know it doesn't matter if it's 10 star, 15 star, which is currently the highest rating and rarity at the time of this recording. Guess what? It's probably not going to have an element you want. And then you change the element. Well, because of this class alone, the price on elemental changing is spiking. This may differ depending on the ship, but let me tell you, if I get a 13 star, 14, 15 star gunblade, and it's the only one I get, but I know my best performances, because I had it in lower ratings and lower rarities, is when I use Baran Style, but this weapon is Zandi style because it's got wind element on it. Before I even level up this 15 star or 14 star to max, I got to go spend anywhere between 3 and possibly 5 to 6 million on changing the element. And that's before grinding is factored in. Jesus Christ. Yes, there are ways to get around this, but let me be clear. We all know that when you have a weapon that the game gives you or you can get by farming for equipment directly, it usually is going to be outclassed, or it usually takes an excessively long time to get. Look no further than Zeeg weapons. Some of those things you can sneeze and get, and some you basically got to spend weeks to months to make sure you can farm. Now, as far as skill tree options are concerned, as per usual, here comes my disclaimer, which I'm going to try to speed through. I'm not telling you what to put on your skill tree. I'm just giving you an opinion. You can play the game how the fuck you want to play. You can go and do something that completely does nothing for you until you get to a higher level. Shut the fuck up and leave me alone in the comments. Okay, now that that's over with, I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the more complex skill trees. Not because it's got a lot of things on it. It does. But because certain terminologies and certain things, damn it, hiccup. I edit that one out. Certain things and certain terminologies you're not going to inherently understand, because there's a lot of, well, not really a lot, but there are new terminologies that are being utilized specifically for this class. So if you look at the skill tree, let's just say you're level 10 and you want to go and peruse the skill tree. Let me ask you something. How much are you really going to understand from legit looking at Purge Style and Quick Shoot? Mind you, you don't even get access to those two until you're like 95. Purge Style, Quick Shoot. Weapon action changes when used at specific times. Timing is based on the style chosen. That's Quick Shoot. Now here's the thing about that. That doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to be visualizing. It just explains what it is, but that's very vague. Purge Style. Use weapon action twice to discard your current style with a powerful explosion attack. Now see, that's descriptive. The depth and variety that you can utilize within the skill tree, whether it's this is what I want to focus on first versus this is my preferred element style, play style, and whatnot. Let me cater to that. The level of deviation you can have, I like. Remember, one of the founding structures of the skill tree system with Phantasy Star Online 2 was basically you could be the same class with the same weapon, have the same armor, and your skill trees could look different. And you would have different experiences, and you would be better or worse in certain things than someone else. Well, Luster holds that shit up like it's a fucking trophy. I'm gonna tell you right now. I've seen people I thought were immortal until we get to a boss just because they have Killing Restored at maximum. Now, Killing Restored, for those wondering, recovers health and photon points when an enemy dies within range, and it maxes out at 10% for HP and 5% for photon points. So imagine you're hitting a mob and almost everyone in the mob is near death because the whole crew hitting them, and then you've got like maybe 100 HP. Boom, now your ass got everything and you can just keep attacking like you the damn Energizer Bunny. Do people still remember the Energizer Bunny? Used to love that little bastard. Cut that part out too. But anyways, that's just one example. Primarily, in the beginning, the skill tree is going to focus on your voltage related things. Now, how far and how deep you get into those is up to you. But please keep this in mind. Sometimes it's better, or I can advise this, again, not telling you what to do. I will advise you point blank, don't max 10 anything you see that you like, that you think is cool in the beginning. Start by taking small samples so you can get used to and accustomed to utilizing this class. Remember, I have 1,000,001 skill tree resets. I can afford to experiment and screw stuff up. Probably said that 1,000,000,000 times at this point. But when this class is brand new and you're new to the game, you may get one skill tree reset a month, or you may not even get a skill reset unless there's a patch coming. Listen to me when I tell you this. Experiment, experiment, experiment first when it comes to Luster. You may think Zandi is the coolest shit ever, but you get a brand new gunblade, or you just say, you know what, I want to change the element real quick, and you may fall in love with Fomel. But your skill tree is still spec'd to heavily favor everything involving Zandi style first, for example. I'm telling you people, the skill tree on this one is the definition of a noob trap. If you thought Braver was bad, Bouncer may be bad, Tekker may be bad, make no mistake, Luster's there to say hello, let me in the club too. Is it fun? Yes. Is it easy to build? No. But you will have fun experimenting, because even when you mess up, it just means you've made yourself more powerful in one other area. Oh, and this is a small note that is not my opinion, so I'm gonna asterisk this. Hey, cut that out too.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm going to asterisk this. Complete rest is the enemy of James Tono. For those who don't remember, or you just weren't reading in the bottom left-hand corner, James Tono is the one with the laugh everyone enjoys, characters usually all dressed in black every time you see me play with him. He hates complete rest with a flaming passion. And in case you're wondering, complete rest boosts your natural photon point recovery when standing still while your weapon has been sheathed for at least 1 second. The maximum being 350% automatic photon point recovery. Well, here's the problem with that. You're on a mission. How often are you going to be completely standing still to get this charge up? You're in a boss fight. How often are you going to be completely standing still to get this charge up? Remember, your weapon has to be sheathed and you can't move. This is practically useless. Again, that's his opinion. However, hey, I ain't gonna sit up here and pretend like I don't agree with this man. The skill tree is fun, it's interesting. There are a lot of things that you will not necessarily understand until you experience them yourself. And it also doesn't help that there is no training exercise mandatory crap from coffee like with literally every other class in this game. And we don't even have an explanation of why Sega did it. But that goes into my personal catchphrase, the Sega giveth and the Sega taketh away. So keep that in mind. They went out of their way to make sure that this one was more complex than normal. I don't know what the exact learning curve, because no one sat down and calculated it, with any class is, but I can tell you this right now. Luster is one of those classes where you can easily double what is considered the standard learning curve for learning a class in this game. Easily. And that's before we even factor in doing combos. That's just going off your skill tree. Okay, moving on. All right, let's get into who should play this class, which is going to be also short because this isn't going to surprise anyone. Many people will gravitate towards this class because on paper for a noob, it's going to look cool and interesting and sleek, and you only need to have one weapon? Oh boy! I get it. But hear me out. This thing is meant for seasoned veterans, at a bare minimum, seasoned veterans. You ain't got to have started in the beta 8 long years ago like me. No. This thing is meant to ruin mobs, enemies' days. But noobs gonna get their life ruined as well. So yeah, if you don't want that to happen to you, again, I can't tell you how to play the game, but keep in mind, Luster is technical. If you are playing Luster, you should have at least, well, they say 2 classes at 75, but you should have mastered one of those 2 classes you got at 75 and have a decent understanding that this will not inherently function like a lot of other classes do. It's crazy. Now, as far as the skill rings go, well, let's just do the holy trifecta first off. Remember, this class is not a class that can utilize technical magic. So you will be using up them mates. So for your right ring, I'm going to say, hey, quick mate. I know that Mate Lover and Moon Lover are my go-tos. I'm not saying they're still not viable, but the mixing of Mate Lover and Quick Mate can go a long way. Because there's nothing like accidentally screwing up a dodge or a dash or something and getting mollywopped by a boss and going down to 10% health, using a Tri-Mate only to find out you're going to get swatted before you can even touch it. Quick Mate can save lives. Also, it complements the speediness of this class naturally, with or without Zandi style, just so we're clear. Now, if you are one of the people who aren't a soloist, if that's even actually a word, I'm probably going to look into that later, and you do constantly play in groups or parties, or you're in a guild and a team, Party of Toughness is one I can't recommend enough. The more people in your squad directly, maximum 4, you get an automatic damage reduction based on those amount of people. I love it. I usually have it infused in armor so I don't have to think about it, and I automatically give myself a defense boost just from being a team player, literally. I'm sure many have fallen in love with the effort ring, but as I've stated, since we now have the all-in-one Omni crit ring, which not only boosts the frequency of crit, but also the damage that it does, I can't recommend it enough, especially since the dexterity for this class is almost never boosted. In fact, most classes don't really have a direct dexterity boost. When it comes to Luster, your dexterity boost begins and ends with your defense boost, because for some reason, in the end of your defense boosting skill tree section, the last thing on that list is dexterity, which is not a defensive element. Now, as far as high class synergy mixes, I regret to inform you that, much like Hero, Luster is in that category of I work alone situation. So, Luster doesn't mix with classes. Classes mix with Luster. Now, for those a little bit confused about that, Luster cannot have a subclass, but Luster can be a subclass to practically everything with the exception of Hero and, the advanced things. That's just how it is. So believe me when I tell you, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, with that being said, this is the 2020 Luster class review. Enjoy the background music, and if you're curious what it is, yes, it's going to be in the descriptions. I have heard your cries. Expect timestamps day one when this comes out. Now we'll see you guys when I see you guys.